Recording from the gateway to the Rocky Mountains, this is the Titan Applicators podcast, where we dive deep into conversations centered around spray polyurethane foam and specialty coatings. My name is Tony Bach, and I am co-founder of Titan Applicators. And today I am flying solo because mornings are typically the only time that my schedule allows for me to have time to record, and probably because nobody else is willing to wake up at 4 a.m. with me. Today's episode, as previously indicated on episode 001, is all about do-it-yourself spray foam insulation. And without further ado, you're probably listening to this because you're building a home or a metal building, or you have one of those things, and you'd like to install spray foam insulation. Congratulations. Spray foam is very energy efficient, incredibly durable, and creates an environment by keeping buildings warm in the winter and cool in the summer. And you've probably stumbled upon this podcast episode because you've contacted professional spray foam contractors, and those no good cotton-headed spray foam installers are just bidding your projects too darn high. So you're probably scouring the World Wide Web for information to simply install the foam yourself. Well, you're not alone. I have had many conversations personally with building owners and contractors who've determined that they would rather purchase their own spray foam equipment, attempt to install the foam themselves, all in an effort to trim their overall budget. And I can understand that. I can also understand developing a sense of bravado after watching YouTube videos and possibly even speaking to a materials rep that is touting his or her 3-day spray foam certification class. Well, as a result of those things, the purpose of this introductory podcast episode and the upcoming podcast series is to empower and enlighten any of you seeking to purchase your own high-pressure spray foam equipment for a do-it-yourself project. And then I'm going to do my best with the help of other professionals, industry professionals that I bring in to discuss these upcoming topics, to arm you with enough information to make an educated decision. And if I've done my job well enough to dissuade you from following through with it. Now, because I could write speak for hours and hours about the small nuances involved with spray foam, like I said, I'm going to use this first episode as an introduction to the many important components of spray polyurethane foam, and then use subsequent posts to dive deeper into each component. But before I begin, let me throw in a disclaimer. This information is not intended in any way, shape, or form to be a substitute for the very extensive training that is necessary to become a qualified spray polyurethane foam applicator, nor will any of the information, the very key pieces of information that can only be learned through hands-on experience, meant to be substitutes for that. Titan Applicators or myself shall not be held liable for any expenses resulting from loss, damage, or accident caused by your misuse of this information. This is simply introductory. But without further ado, the first topic that I'd like to discuss briefly, it will probably be the first topic in this mini series, is the most important one, and that's safety. Manufacturing spray polyurethane foam requires the handling of very hazardous chemicals, specifically isocyanates, which are allergens and therefore a potential sensitizer. Working with isocyanates can be dangerous and may cause allergic reaction resulting in bodily harm from exposure. So as you're looking into this world of potentially buying your own equipment, what type of personal protective equipment is required? What are your health risks or the health risks of the occupants of the building, whether it be your family, friend, whomever, after you've installed the foam? Is spray foam combustible while you're spraying it, or even after you're spraying it? There are many factors to be considered during and after the application of spray foam insulation. Many of which I'll review in depth in the safety episode. But in the meantime, if you wish to do your own research, which I highly, highly encourage you do, there's plenty of information online by credible sources, two of which are the American Chemistry Council and the Spray Polyurethane Foam Association, SPFA. If you go onto our website, TitanApplicators.com, we have a blog, and all of my podcast episodes will be translated into blog posts, and I will have direct links to the American Chemistry Council and Spray Polyurethane Foam Association. But safety is a big one. Along with safety is the science stuff. If you purchase a spray foam rig, you're basically purchasing a small self-contained manufacturing facility to produce your own plastic product. Good polyurethane foam is formed by putting two unique liquid components through the correct combination of heats and pressures and a spray gun configuration. And the mixing occurs by something called impingement, meaning that you take the A side chemical, it's a two-part chemical system, that you take the A side chemical, known as iso or isocyanates, and they collide with the B side chemical, known as resin or specifically polyol polyether resin, at a high velocity so that they mix properly. But here's the kicker. The correct combination of heat, the correct combination of pressure, and the correct temperatures will vary from one foam manufacturer to another, from one season to another, one elevation to another. In addition, the correct combination of heat and pressures and temperatures will be contingent to the ambient air temperature or the humidity levels and several other uncontrollable on-site variables. Once we start talking about the science stuff in depth, we'll talk about things like what is the chemical composition of these two liquid components. What specifically is a process that they have to undertake to become foam, and all of these topics. And I'm going to be, for those of you that are privy to spray foam insulation or spray polyurethane foam and the process of making it, you'll probably be able to poke holes in the information that I'm providing, and feel free to, but I'll probably be missing some key components. So that's why I'm going to bring other people in here and help me talk about this stuff. But again, this first episode is all about brief introductory to the main components of it, so that you kind of have an idea of, as we go through these things over the next several weeks, what are the general areas. But it can get deep, and we can talk, specifically even just the chemical composition, the science stuff. We can talk in depth about it specifically. On our blog, I'll also post, a good document from the American Chemistry Council that you could probably find on your own if you dig deep enough. But there will be a link on this first blog post on our website. And that is a document called Spray Polyurethane Foam, a guidance on sampling techniques for the inspection of installed SPF. Speaking of installed SPF, the next topic would be equipment. As I previously indicated, producing good spray foam requires the correct combination of heat, pressure, spray gun configuration. Getting even one of these factors wrong can result in some major, potentially even life-threatening issues. Spray foam systems are designed to be mixed in a 1-to-1 ratio by volume within 2%, give or take. The proportioner, also referred to as the spray foam reactor, is designed to assure that both the A side and the B side components are delivered to the spray gun at consistent ratios. There are several manufacturers of spray foam proportioners. Some are air driven, some are electric hydraulic powered. And the selection of your system will largely be determined by your needs versus the machine's output capabilities. They're technical pieces of equipment. Along with that, obviously, those aren't the only things inside of a spray foam rig. There's auxiliary equipment. But the necessity for auxiliary equipment, such as generators and compressors, and the necessity for auxiliary equipment upgrades will be directly tied to the size of the proportioner that you choose. Other pieces of equipment in no specific order, and definitely not limited to, are drum pumps, heated hoses, spray guns, air dryers, and we'll cover these items in detail and other items that I've forgotten to list on its own dedicated podcast episode. But some questions that you could ask yourself in the meantime, or that you could look up information, and questions that we'll review are: what type of spray foam systems are there? What systems are going to meet your needs? What kind of maintenance is required on a spray foam rig? And troubleshooting is a big one in the spray foam world. Are all spray foam guns equal? Are all hoses equal? In the meantime, go on to the Spray Polyurethane Foam Association's website and look for document SPFA-137. It's a document specific to spray foam equipment. Side note, you'll need to provide your personal contact information to view that document. But I'm pretty sure the everyday average Joe can still access that. Another topic we'll cover is product. A wide range of SPF systems are available in various densities, various various limitations, combustibility characteristics, different approvals, and much more. Each product offers unique benefits that a professional spray foam contractor can help explain to end users as they navigate which foam is most appropriate for a specific application or a specific climate or a building code. Questions that you should ask yourself specific to product is: which manufacturer will you use? How much product do you need? What's a reasonable cost for material? And obviously that is typically different from a professional who goes through volumes of it to an end user who happens to find a representative that's willing to sell them chemical. Once we reach this topic in the short series or the mini series, we'll provide a list of spray foam options and give each manufacturer possibly an opportunity to speak for themselves and their products and what they think about do it yourself with their products specifically. Another important topic to me is building science and building codes. If you're going to install your own spray foam insulation, you need to have a thorough understanding of two very important things. And those are the two aforementioned topics: building science, building codes. And unfortunately, they don't always go hand in hand. A very brief and small example of understanding building science is vented versus unvented attic assemblies. A vented attic assembly should not communicate with the conditioned space of your home or your building. Rather, it should be coupled with the exterior. On the converse, unvented assemblies fall into two different categories. Systems where condensing surface temperatures are not controlled, and systems where condensing surface temperatures are controlled. Understanding those different assembly types relative to your location are essential for controlling things like moisture, mold, decay, ice damming. I just got a call the other day from a contractor. I'm sorry, not a contractor, a building owner that we installed spray foam in her metal building. She is a dog agility trainer. We installed closed-cell foam on the exterior walls of her building. She had previously already had fiberglass bats that the metal building installer or the metal building builder installed on the ceiling, and it's raining on her in the wintertime. As she heats this, the conditions are just right that she needs to circulate more air than she wants, just to keep the humidity levels down. And so without digressing too far, we'll get into building science things such as that. But if this is a home we're talking about, and humidity or moisture levels become an issue because one's understanding or your understanding of building science as you installed foam wasn't advanced enough, you could cause a lot more serious issues than what you had initially intended. So that was building science. A brief example of understanding building code nuances is to have a firm understanding of vapor barrier requirements relative to your climate zone. For example, climate zone 5, where I personally live, climate zones 5 and higher, that goes all the way up to climate zone 8, I believe, requires a class 2 vapor retarder on the interior of an open cell foam layer, if you're thinking about installing open cell foam. But if you install high density closed cell foam, a class 2 vapor retarder is not required in those climate zones because closed cell foam already qualifies as a class 2 vapor retarder. So again, those are just two minor examples of each one of those things accordingly. But questions that you need to ask yourself are: what climate zone do you live in? Which International Energy Conservation Code does your local building department recognize, the IECC? And just because your building department recognizes an older building code year doesn't necessarily mean that that's the IECC code that they recognize. They might have adopted a more recent one. Is a thermal barrier required over the foam that you're installing? Or an ignition barrier? Is an ignition barrier required over the foam you're installing? Those are just a few of the very many examples that it's very important for you to understand if you're considering to go in these things. And a professional spray foam contractor will already know these things. So you've purchased your equipment, you chose your product, confirmed your local building code requirements, how much foam you'll need, what type of product you're going to install, who is going to help you when something goes wrong, not if, but when something goes wrong. Now it's time for you to install the foam, the spray foam application. That'll be a separate topic. At this point, in my opinion, if you have any apprehension or questions about how to apply a certain product, that should be a good indicator that you aren't prepared to perform the work. But nonetheless, questions about how to apply your product and what conditions are optimal for a successful application should always be directed to the supplier's customer support or the technical support contacts. And we will bring some of those people on here to discuss the spray foam application. If you're applying a closed cell foam, I'd like to point out the fact that some manufacturers are claiming to have a high-rise foam, which allows you to install their product at greater depths per pass, which sounds great. Who wouldn't want to cut down their work time? But in my opinion, there are many factors to consider before an applicator can determine whether or not a high-rise closed cell foam is a good idea. Not only that, but experience has proven to me that what a product representative says about their foam's capabilities will occasionally contradict what the data sheet says that foam can do. So just be sure to know exactly what you are installing and how to properly install it, because a foam caused fire could be a sure way to put your project behind schedule and over budget. Not only that, but spraying bad foam may not be immediately recognizable to the untrained eye. So questions to ask yourself in the meantime is how to determine if you're spraying bad foam. Why isn't your spray pattern even? What if your foam pulls away from the studs or off the walls after you've already sprayed it? What type of site preparation will there need to be? Do you need to ventilate? Things such as that. Again, those are, in my opinion, some of the major talking points that we'll dive into. There will be others that come up, but just to recap, as I indicated before, if you purchase a high pressure spray foam insulation rig, you are becoming like a manufacturer. Unlike most other trades, spray foam is not a pre-manufactured good. You are taking raw chemicals, you're processing them on site to make the finished product. And in the world of professional spray foam applicators, it's the sole responsibility of the installers and his or her business to control the factors surrounding the entire process. We think about things like the equipment. We think about the performance of the equipment, the optimal performance of the equipment, the temperatures, material handling, safety of ourselves, the safety of others, troubleshooting, maintaining certifications, processing the chemicals properly, guaranteeing a well-manufactured product, and on and on. Obviously, with most do-it-yourself projects, having no experience isn't always a deal breaker. I've personally made repairs and upgrades to my properties all through do-it-yourself websites and YouTube videos. However, there's a subtle difference between disappointing my wife because the shiplap is crooked and risking my family's safety by attempting a job that's highly specialized that requires years of training to handle on my own. So the choice you have between do it yourself and hiring a professional spray foam contractor is more than just a matter of money. It is a careful balancing act between saving, which everybody likes to do. I understand that, but a laundry list of other factors that not only could affect you financially, but could affect you personally as well, with your health and the well-being of your family or the well-being of your buildings. Most of which I will try to do my best to explain in posts to come and episodes to come. So that is all I have today. I appreciate you listening. Stay tuned for the next episode that we dive deep into one of those topics specifically. I will have a special guest with me who is undetermined at this point in time. But again, thanks for listening. We would love it if you like or share this episode. Go on to social medias and like and share those as well if you feel that we've added value to you specific to spray polyurethane foam and coatings.